Hey everybody, welcome back to the Scenic Route Astrology. My name is Michaela Davis. I'm an evolutionary and predictive astrologer, psychic channel, and medium. And today we're talking about the Libra full moon eclipse that's happening here in Thailand at 2 o'clock p.m. on March 25th. That's 2024. So if you are in another part of the world, you're going to want to cast the chart for where you are. Okay, we're in different time zones. But essentially, this full moon eclipse is happening at 5 degrees Libra and 7 minutes. And I'm going to break down the chart with you in a few minutes, but I do want to prep you to let you know what an eclipse means and how it's different from a normal full moon, and then also what I'm seeing as the evolutionary intention for this lunar eclipse coming up for all of us. So, if you have any planets that are 0 degrees to 10 degrees of the cardinal points, so that's Libra, Aries, Cancer, or Capricorn, you're going to be affected by this a bit more. And then also if your Mars or Venus ruled, so if Mars or Venus is ruling your ascendant, your sun sign, or your moon sign, this is also going to be pretty potent for you. Breaking that down, it's also going to affect all of us, like no matter what planets you have, what sign you are in. But some of us get, it's our time to get rocked a little bit more. And so don't be scared, because a lot of people, a lot of astrologers out there put out that, full moons and new moons are eclipses are on steroids. And I do resonate with that 100%. I find that these types of full moon and new moons are incredibly potent, and they're often life changing. They are extra energy that's being infused into the new or full moon. And that's because the lunar nodes are conjunct either the sun or the moon around an eclipse. Okay, that's why it's different than every other new or full moon every month. This one is next to one of the lunar nodes. So there's more potency because the lunar nodes are helping guide us karmically, where we're shifting, where we're changing, where we're letting go, where we're releasing, where we're experiencing new dynamics, and we're re-experiencing karmic dynamics coming in our life. You can think of the lunar nodes as like guidelines into your astrology chart and like your life overall. And so when they're hitting eclipses, and these eclipses are hitting significant points in your natal chart or significant planets, you can expect that this energy rocks you a little bit more. Everybody will get their time for eclipse rock and rolling, because the eclipses are going to change signs when the nodes change signs. And that happens about every year and a half or so, every 18 months or so. Okay. Further down the line this year, it'll be time for Pisces and Virgo, but right now we're dealing with the Libra and Aries axis. Another thing to let you guys know is that these eclipses have already been rocking and rolling from the fall. Okay, you want to pay attention to what was happening around October for you in the fall when these eclipses were starting to get set off. And also in April of 2024, because we had an eclipse in Aries that was really beginning this whole eclipse journey in the Aries and Libra axis. So that being said, what is the evolutionary intention of the Libra full moon eclipse? Well, when we break down what the Libra full moon means, it's about developing emotional security in relationships. Okay. Libra is Venus ruled. So the ruler of this eclipse is in Venus. It's Venus, which is exalted in Pisces, which is to our benefit over this eclipse, but it is conjunct Saturn. So there's a little bit of trickery going on. And I will break that down when we look at the astrology chart. But I want to talk about this evolutionary intention a little bit more. Okay. When we think about Libra, we think about being able to compromise. We think about relationship dynamics and our partners, right? And the significant one-to-ones that matter in our life, right? Our relationships to our best friends, our relationships to our parents, our relationships to our significant others. Maybe we have a very good boss, a close boss that we work with. Okay, these are like the chosen one-to-one companions that we have in our life. And that's really what Libra is going to signify. And the other part of Libra is that it's a projection and a reflection dynamic. Okay. When we look at Libra in the astrology chart, it's the 7th house. And what is being projected at us from other people is actually what's being vibrated within our being. Okay. It's what we are vibrating out, it's what we're attracting. There's a attraction dynamic when we think about Libra, when we think about the seventh house, and when we think about Venus, okay? And I actually put out a video on healing the sacral chakra and working with the sacral chakra. That was a preparation for this eclipse coming up. So if you haven't seen that video, I really encourage you to go take a look at that, because it's going to help you understand like the overall energy of how to deal with this physically in your body and actual very practical ways to handle what this full moon could bring up for you if it hasn't already. So the other thing about a Libra moon is understanding that mood regulation is very important, because Libra moons are often really affected by other people. Again, that's because other people are reflecting back something to them, and you're digesting it, you're taking it in, you're seeing it reflected at you, you're being tilted off balance, right? The scales, depending on how people are reacting to each other. And so there can be a need for Libra placements, Libra full moons, to really focus on regulating yourself, especially if you're feeling a reaction from the other person. Okay. When we think about Libra on the astrology axis, the other side is Aries. Aries tends to be a little selfish. It goes in its own direction. It doesn't really, it's got a rebellious streak to it, not quite like Aquarius, but it's going to go its own way and it's going to be very independent. And so oftentimes with Libra placements, we can get activated by somebody who's more independent and direct or forthgoing, right? Courageous, brave to just like go on their own, right? And then the Libra is like, wait, no, we're in a partnership, we're a companion, like we're together. I thought we had this together. And there can be that separation or that feeling of what feels like separation. So the evolutionary intention here is to, under this eclipse, is to further your development and your emotional security when it comes to relationships and partnerships, okay? And what that means, the embodiment part is what we come into next, is healing those codependency dynamics, okay? And this is a term, codependency is a term that I think is thrown around a lot with, you know, psychology and self-help and social media. And I 100% agree with it being in relationship to the Libra archetype. But from my perspective and my point of view, you know, I'm a Libra rising, I'm Venus ruled. I've had many relationships. I've been in consulting where I work with clients one-on-one for many years. I've done that. I've been in, you know, just all sorts of jobs where it's just people oriented. It's okay to find a union and form a union and rely on another individual. It's when you lose yourself, if they were to go off on their own for a short period of time or a forever period of time, and that would totally eradicate the human being and cause them to basically spiral out of control and not feel like they can be independent and survive on their own. That is the healing of codependency, right? I think it's healthy to have these relationships where you form a business partnership together, or you buy a house together, or you rely on each other because of the time and the age that we're at, as long as you both are respecting the fact that you're both individuals at the same time. And there's a lot of people that mesh with another, they find their value in somebody else. It's about finding your value as an individual, seeing the value in somebody else, being able to separate your indifferences, and doing the Libra thing where it's actually more about listening than talking. Okay, so that's one thing I want to actually bring up under this full moon eclipse is like, if you feel the need to blurt out something or take action or be spontaneous, because the Mercury is in Aries, so you might be feeling that rush, that intensity to just like go at it with your words. I'm going to encourage people under this eclipse to do more listening and to do more observing, and then to take in the projections that are coming in around you. Because another thing about full moons, it's about integration, okay? Full moons can be a great time to enjoy life, enjoy the things that are being in full bloom, you know, dancing, celebrating, and so forth, right? Like really feeling the juiciness and the liveliness of what has come to a full culmination under a full moon. Okay. But there is also an element here about integration with full moons and understanding that what's being illuminated to you is how you're affecting other people. And that is so significant under this Libra full moon eclipse, okay? Because this is about relationships, okay? 100%. Now is the time to be focusing on the relationships that are going to carry you forward for the next 19 years. Because we're not going to see the nodes again in this for another 19 years, okay? So it's very important, right? Relationships are a very important dynamic in our life. So this is being illuminated right now. And the other embodiment that I wanted to bring up to really embody this full moon is to surround yourself in beauty. Okay, so I'm thriving because of the timing of all of this. I am in my favorite place in the whole entire world, in Thailand. And I'm literally thriving in my relationships and my work and my growth and my creation, because this is what Libra wants you to do. Is it wants you to surround yourself with aesthetically pleasing things. Venus, moon in Libra, it's about beauty. It's about harmony, right? It's about aesthetic. It's about grace, right? So you need to make sure that you're spending and carving out a little bit of time for you to do that for yourself, whether that is going to for a massage, getting a facial, going to sit in a spa for a little while that has good music, going to the beach, right? It's, whatever that means for you, whatever that looks like, taking a hike in nature, do that under this eclipse. Allow yourself to embody what it means to be intimately connected to the relationships of your surroundings. Okay, because that's also going to help you release, enjoy, embody what this full moon has to offer, because it has a lot of releasing going on, but it has a lot of invitational energy going on where we can invite dynamics that are beautiful, that are going to create more abundance in our life, create more value in our life. Okay, you just have to actually have a little bit of ambition to go out and get there, to go out and search for it, okay, to reach for it, to grab for it, okay, under this eclipse. So what would it feel like to own this eclipse and make it home? Okay, I like to say making it home because wherever the moon is wherever we're going to find our comfort, wherever we're going to find our connection, our safety, our security, right? Whatever makes us feel really good inside, right? That's why we follow the moon. That's why full moons are new moons, and all of the moon cycles are so important in the astrology chart. So what would it feel like to feel good and feel the serenity under this eclipse? Well, it would be finding relationships that provide you that emotional support. All right. Hands down, simple as that. Making sure that you have those solid foundation, those relationships here that are providing that support. And that also looks like compassionate listening and understanding. Okay. That's coming from you as an individual. That is your responsibility under this lunar eclipse, and that's also other people's responsibility. Okay, and if they're not doing that, if they're not providing that, and they're not showing up for that, well, eclipses are about releasing, so you have a decision to make. You know, is this something that you want to continue to work on, something that you want to continue to nurture and to grow, or is this something that maybe the door needs to close so that you can have new ones coming in? Because I promise you, there's a lot of new energy coming in, especially with the solar eclipse in Aries. It is complete birth cycle happening on April 8th, which is just 2 weeks after this eclipse. Okay. So here is an opportunity under this lunation to find inner tranquility. I really mean that, inner tranquility. I know that this eclipse is totally rocking and rolling, and we will get into the aspects when we break down the astrology chart. But overall, this is about seeking a balance and emotional, objective approach to your life, to your relationships, to your values, to the resources that are in your life, and then also cultivating inner tranquility. Okay. And if that isn't going on for some people under this lunation, the eclipses have a way of removing those things for you. And there's always that dynamic between fate and free will within astrologers in the astrology chart. And my perspective is mostly we have free will, but sometimes there are fated events that we need that little push, and maybe we're not ready yet. Maybe it's outside of our comfort zone. And then we get a push from the outside universe that helps us just accelerate more towards that evolutionary growth. Okay. And so we can be thankful for those moments once we have a bigger picture and a vision down the line. And before I break down the chart and I bring it up, I just want to remind everybody that eclipses normally have an effect over your life for about 6 months. So the things that transpire now, it's not like they're always catastrophic and they occur and erupt or change or illuminate or show themselves or expose themselves right away. Sometimes it can be over the progressed 6 month timeline. Okay. But they're like new moons and full moons, anyways. They're just more potent. Okay. So there's a seed being planted in the new moon, and there's a releasing, an illumination, or a celebration under a full moon. Okay. So you want to think back from 2 weeks from now. Okay, this eclipse is happening on the 25th of March. Backtrack yourself to 2 weeks. That begins the storyline. And then the next eclipse is on April 8th. Go forward 2 weeks from there. That whole chunk of time is going to be condensed and connected together into what is this eclipse season about in the next 6 months for you. There's also a repeat of some storylines that are happening from April of 2023 in October and even November of 2023. Okay. So with that being said, let me pull up my notes here and show you the chart. Share screen. I hope everybody's doing well. I am loving Thailand. It is so amazing. Okay. So where we have a lot going on, as you guys can see, I have a lot of the asteroids pulled up. I personally really like to use asteroids. I know for some people it confuses them because there can be a lot going on in the chart, but hopefully if you're, learning astrology and you want to work with the goddess asteroids, hopefully you learn something from me bit by bit as I'm bringing them up. I feel like they give a lot of more fine-tuning detail into the transits, and I'm able to provide better readings that way and more sharper and clearer predictive work that way. So the ruler of this eclipse is opposite Venus, right? Venus is opposite the part of debt. So I will say that for many people, because this is a lunation, it's a full moon and it's ruled by Venus itself, which has to do with money and finances. This being opposite the part of debt, that could mean either you or a partner is released from some type of debt or financial burden. And I had to bring that up. I thought that was an amazing positive point under this lunation, so whether that is, a contract that you have with somebody, or maybe your partner has with somebody, but it's affecting you, this eclipse is going to release that for you. So that's something that some people can be looking forward to. And please let me know in the comments below if this shows up for you, if this is happening for you. I would love to, hear your comments, hear what this is happening, where the eclipse is falling for you, and so forth. So also the moon itself, the moon in Libra, is on the part of fame. So it means that there is a recognition coming into illumination. So for many people where this lunation is hitting a prominent point, and I would highly suggest you also look at your progressions. I know that's a little bit advanced for some, but for some other practicing astrologers who do utilize progressions, check those. Some people are going to have a rise to fame under this lunation, and it will progress over the next 6 months. So that was also a really positive attribute that I wanted to focus on. Okay, if you've got 5 degrees, if it's hitting 5 degrees Libra, this is very positive for you. If it's hitting 5 degrees Aries, also very positive for you, but you're going to need to integrate. You're going to need to integrate something, okay, under this lunation. If you're on the Libra side, you're receiving it. And then if you're on the Capricorn Cancer side, it's going to take a little bit of movements and a little bit of shifts, but you can also really get that benefit if you're putting in the hard work and the drive. The sun is also on Icarus, which is not so great. So there will be some leaders or people who are of importance that aren't listening, right? That little voice in your head that tells you not to do something when you shouldn't do it. Well, I do see that there are some either, leaders, war leaders, pioneers, or people who kind of represent something of leadership, more aggressive. They're going to have a fall from grace. Okay. If you look up the storyline of Icarus, he was given wings. He was told not to fly too close to the sun, or else his wings were going to melt and he would fall. And that's exactly what happened. And so for some people, this the moon on the part of fame And then the sun on Icarus, you know, for some people, this would be famous people who, you know, haven't really been doing the right thing. And also now they have to receive their karmic imbalance, which is coming from that Libra side. And we'll see how things play out. So and also the moon is also on Siva, which is the preparation for the end. And so this kind of signifies major losses and destruction. But again, just because the ruler of eclipse is on the part of debt, I'm also looking at this like if even if it's a not financial debt, like say you feel indebted to somebody or you've just been in a relationship that has felt like it weighed you down or it was just karmically giving you debt, if that makes sense, karmic debt for a long time. This lunation on Siva is the destruction of that. It's a major loss. So it's a clearing away for a lot of people, depending on how you want to look at it. But for some people, they have relationships in their life that they're so ready to depart from, so ready to let go, break down, release. And so this lunation is definitely going to signify that for a lot of people. Okay. So then I wanted to get into the ruler of this eclipse because I think that is one of the most important things, and it's Venus. Venus exalted in Pisces, very, very happy Venus to be in. It's all about love, compassion, embodiment, beauty, right? Just drifting and flowing with the ebbs and flows of life and really sucking that all in. So we've got a great, great aspect here with Venus exalted Pisces. Venus is also sextile Jupiter. Okay, so here you want to ask yourself, right? Where is these possibilities that are coming from under this lunation? Because the full moon is going to expose things for you over the next 6 months. But it's up to you with anything with Jupiter involved to take that opportunity, right? Yes, it can show up, but you have to also do a little bit of work. You have to make choices in order to expand, right? In order to jump on, ride that wave. Okay. And so I would probably bet for many people that there are going to be possibilities coming in your way with the sextile. But the sextile is like, are you going to do it? Do you have faith? Do you have trust, right? Jupiter in Taurus, do you have faith? Do you have trust that we can build something new, that we can allow something to come in? Okay. It's time for you to lean in and to trust those intuitive downloads. Okay. And also that risk is going to be involved. Okay. This is also sextile Uranus. Jupiter is conjunct Uranus. Jupiter and both Uranus involve risk to some degree. Okay. It's going to feel risky. It's going to feel scary. All right. And the sextile is like you could let it slip away, right? With a square, it's more of like a push, right? It's like a grind. You can feel the push, the grind, the aggravation. But with a sextile, you know it's there, but you can almost miss it and slip it because you're like, well, maybe it'll be there later on. I would not miss out on these opportunities that come up, honestly. I would not take the risk, not take the chance, okay? Because under this lunation, with the sextile there, we can have unexpected opportunities come in for advancement, okay? And again, that moon is on fame, right? So some people who want the exposure, who want the limelight, right? Who want to, even if it's not fame, even if you just want some type of recognition, right? Even if you want to be seen by that one person you've had that crush on for so long, right? Where's that risk involved? Where is that openness to expand, right? To dream? Where is that coming from? Okay. This eclipse will feel irritating if you can't flow with the change or if you're not willing to take the risk. And people can also project onto others if they see you, right? Or if they see others taking the risk, they want to take for themselves, right? And so if you find yourself as an individual, if you catch yourself like feeling, oh, that person did that, or oh, this, right? Judging or kind of projecting, just know that that might be symbolic of you not taking a risk or a leap of faith somewhere in your life that you feel would provide you more freedom and openness and expansion. Because this lunation really wants to provide that. It really wants to show you the open doors, and that can come through other people. That can come through a video on YouTube. That can come through a passing by at a store, right? Keep your eyes open, keep your awareness and your intuition open, and have that faith and that trust that these unexpected opportunities will arise, okay? The other thing that Venus is doing is it's conjunct Saturn in Pisces, which is obviously huge, but this is a new phase conjunction, okay? It just conjuncted Saturn and now it's moving faster, right? It's moving along. So this is a new phase, a new initiation. So yes, Saturn itself in Pisces is dissolving foundations and structures that were once a part of our lives and provided some stability for the last 30 years. But at the same time, Saturn wants you to now focus on the dream, the bigger picture, right? Where you're going forward, what would make you feel more whole in life? Okay, with Pisces transits, Pisces planets, we want to feel more whole. And we also want to use our intuition. So again, if you haven't looked at my third eye chakra teaching, I also encourage you to watch that because that's going to help you understand what Venus is doing right now, because Venus is in Pisces conjunct Saturn. But this is a new phase conjunction. So a new phase is beginning in your life, and that has to deal with romance, just personal relationships, those one-to-one relationships we talked about in the beginning of the video, stuff that you're building, projects that you're building, dreams that you're wanting to building, financial stuff that you're building. I think finances are going to change for all of us on a very grand scale very shortly. And so you want to look at the opportunities for you to how you create your own resources and your own sense of wealth. And honestly, this could be implementing a new beginning for many people on a new shift of values, right? For many people, you might be like, oh my God, this used to matter to me for God knows why. I used to care about this, or I used to have value in this, or I used to align or resonate with this, and now I don't anymore. And my values are completely different. When your values change, everything else in your life changes, right? If you care about only designer things, then all your money and your look and your wardrobe and your expenses only goes to designer things. Okay. I don't really care about them. I like them and I buy them occasionally. I mostly get gifted them. But just like a funny story in this trip, for instance, like I bought a pair of Jimmy Choo sandals to match on this trip with my boyfriend. We each bought a pair and they gave us the worst blisters of my life. And I really don't care about, I just thought they were cute and they were kind of cheap. You know, they were like on a discount. You can see Jimmy Choo on a discount, but they wrecked my feet. And I haven't worn shoes in 2.5 weeks now on this island, like not a single pair. I just walk around barefoot all the time because I really don't care about the shoes. Right. And I haven't really for a long time anyway. Right. That was just like a fun, spontaneous buy. And it was just a mistake. But again, my values have shifted from 10 years ago when maybe I was like, no, I have to wear those shoes. Right. And so just stupid stuff like that. Right. So stupid example, or maybe it's not a stupid example, but like examples like that, when your values are changing, they very much could be dissolving and re-evolving under this lunation. And so I want you to pay attention to that because also along with your values, Venus conjunct Saturn, it's time to look at your serious commitments and what you're moving and evolving forward with right now, because the decisions you're making now, the evolving that you're doing now is incredibly potent. It's really connected to this big 20-year cycle that's involved, this 19-year cycle, this 30-year cycle, and all these different timelines. And you can see how right now we're in a major part in our life. If you can think about your personal life right now, what is being uprooted, what's being shifted, it's important to look at these things, look at these long-term commitments. And just to provide some support under Venus, Saturn conjunction in Pisces, look for things that make you feel safety, that make you feel content, that make you feel like you are secure and safe in an emotional womb, okay? An emotional womb that you can go to bed at night soft, that you can sleep throughout the night, that you can let go of anxieties, let go of worry, okay? Those kind of things are really like Venus, Saturn, and Pisces related. And that's going to bring that inner contentment and that inner harmony and tranquility that I talked about at the beginning of this video. Other thing is Venus is square Pallas Athene, and Pallas is in Sagittarius. So where we see Pallas in our chart and by transit, we have to own up to the choices that we have made. And, we have to claim the parts of ourselves in Palace and Sag where we have made choices that may or may have not led us up to a good part in our life right now, for better or for worse, with yourself, this relationship with yourself, right? It's kind of like a marriage vow with yourself under this square. And it's okay because not everything's going to be perfect right now in any of our lives. And there are choices that have helped us and there are choices that have hindered us. And what Palace in Sagittarius wants you to do is it's going to be loud. It might be in your face, right? These things that come up, these thoughts, these ideas, but you have to have faith that there's a better tomorrow, despite what you've done to lead you up to this point, and it's almost a shift in perspective is what this square is asking you to do, okay? Because the Venus is asking you to dissolve some of those beliefs and those perspectives that you've had. And then the square is asking you to integrate the new ones as Venus moves away from Saturn and works on this new phase conjunction that I've just had, okay? So be flexible with your perspective. Be open to the fact that you can give yourself forgiveness and you can pivot your choices and you can pivot your beliefs around those choices, okay? That you have freedom and room and expansion, those Sagittarius things, to evolve your mind, to kind of place a new strategy, because Palace will have to do a strategy and our plan for the future. So here is a little part of the chart where it's like shift that perspective, shift that plan, shift those ideas, shift that narrative that you've been telling yourself so that you can move forward. And then Venus is also opposite Juno. So again, this is significant of where the commitments are being placed because we've got Libra full moon opposite Sun and Aries. That's all commitment relationship dynamics, Libra, Aries access. But then we've also got the ruler opposite Juno and Virgo. And so there's a little bit of a fine tuning here. This is, I think, like a blind spot that a lot of astrologers wouldn't see that is so deeply connected to just the lunation itself. Because here, Juno is going to show you where the imbalances are in your relationship and where they're healthy or they're not healthy. Okay, this is where you can have a really good, critical, fine-tuned approach and analysis to those relationships that are dissolving and beginning at the same time. Okay, this is about checking in with yourself, and it's also about checking in with your expectations. Okay, are you asking people to be too perfect? Are you asking yourself to be too perfect when it comes to things? And this is, an opportunity to say, do these projections, relationships, expectations, do they serve me anymore, right? Are they in alignment with where I'm going forward or are they not? Okay. And then I just want to wrap this up because I feel like I've covered a lot here. So the sun is sextile Pluto and the moon is trine Pluto. Okay. So the two luminaries, the sun and the moon, are making nice forming aspects to newly fresh baby Pluto in Aquarius. And this is wonderful because this is providing the necessary ease, flow, and support for that transformation, okay, for the long term, for the vision, Aquarius needs, for the freedom, for the liberation, for the relationships that help you grow, that help you get to the next part, that help you liberate, that help you stop feeling weighed down, stop feeling contracted, okay? This is really, really helpful. And I am really excited about this lunation. Okay. I think this is going to be incredibly potent for many people, but you will actually feel the release and the joy from the aftermath of it all. Okay. And I also actually want to point out the fact that Mars here is in a semi-square to Pluto and Aquarius. And so Mars is the ruler of the North Node, which is important because it's widely conjunct the sun, but it is conjunct the sun. And Mars in Pisces is about, forging through, working hard to let go, dissolve, but also work on the bigger dream. Okay. And the semi-square is a little bit of a sneaky aspect. It's an irritation, right? It's an irritation kind of dynamic where maybe you don't want to do the thing. And Mars is also forming an in conjunction to the moon in Libra, to the full moon in Libra here. And so from the moon's point of view, that Mars in conjunction is about making an adjustment to the way that you're relating and all of these dynamics that we just broke down. And then if you're looking at the in conjunction from the Mars point of view, it's about allowing that full moon to integrate, to submerge into the soul, to make it home, right? To embody what those Libra full moon placements mean, to relax into that tranquility and that serenity, because Mars in Pisces doesn't really like to be in Pisces. But if it can feel just safe to flow and go with the flow and not have to be such a warrior, not have to be so aggressive, then Mars and Pisces can really work on beautifying things, you know, making things more wholesome, fighting for a cause, right? Fighting with compassion. I like to think of Mars and Pisces as the love warrior, love making, right? Instead of feeling like it has to be so abrasive and protect itself, here in Pisces, it can learn to surrender, right? To let go, right? Swim downstream, not upstream. Okay. So with that being said, if you liked this video, please make sure that you give me a subscribe, that you give me a like, and that you share. I would very much appreciate it if you share this content on your platforms, if you drop me a comment down below, and of course, if you give this video a like, because it helps my channel grow, and I am newly evolving this channel again, giving it a facelift, giving it a fresh look, and just really embodying my own personal trends, as this lunation, this full moon is directly on my progressed moon in Libra. So also, I just really want to thank everybody for being here and staying till the end. Please feel free to drop me a comment down below, or after the eclipse happens, please feel free to drop me a comment and let me know what storylines are coming up for you and where this is falling in your chart. I always comment, I always give feedback, so it's good to connect and hear from all of you. Until then, I will be back with a eclipse video, the new moon Aries eclipse, and also a video on the solar plexus mini teaching coming up. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you give me a follow on Instagram as well, Scenic Root Astrology, since I'm doing a lot of content and a lot of posting and education on there as well. Okay. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Ciao.